सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा, हम बुलबुले हैं इसकी, ये गुलसिता हमारा।
79 years of freedom, 79 years of dreams. From the ashes of colonialism rose a nation of a billion screams, not screams of pain, but roars of triumph, not cries of defeat, but songs of victory. Today we don't just celebrate independence, we celebrate the emergence of a global superpower. Jai Hind, my fellow Indians. Today, as we stand on the threshold of our 79th Independence Day, I want you to close your eyes for a moment and imagine the sound of freedom. Can you hear it? It's the sound of a million hearts beating as one when Pandit Nehru declared tryst with destiny at the stroke of midnight on August 15, 1947. It's the sound of chains breaking, of hope soaring, and of a civilization awakening after centuries of slumber. But more importantly, it's the sound of modern India roaring on the world stage today. This is not just another Independence Day story, this is the incredible journey of how a nation that was once called the crown jewel in someone else's empire became the crown itself, shining brighter than ever before in the constellation of global powers. From 1947 to 2025, from a newly independent nation struggling to find its feet to a country that the world looks up to for leadership, inspiration, and solutions, this is India's extraordinary transformation tale. Let me take you back to where it all began. Picture British-occupied India in the early 1900s, a land of unimaginable wealth being systematically drained, a civilization being told it wasn't capable of governing itself, millions of people living under the boot of colonial oppression. The British had convinced the world, and sometimes even us, that India was nothing more than a market for their goods and a source of raw materials. They divided us by religion, by caste, by region, believing that a divided India could never rise. How wrong they were. Then came the heroes of our freedom struggle, not just one or two, but an entire generation of extraordinary men and women who decided that enough was enough. Mahatma Gandhi, with his revolutionary idea of nonviolent resistance, showed the world that the mightiest empire could be brought to its knees not by bullets, but by the sheer force of truth and moral courage. When he launched the Salt March in 1930, walking 240 miles from Sabarmati to Dandi, he wasn't just breaking the salt law, he was breaking the myth of British invincibility. But Gandhi wasn't alone in this monumental struggle. Netaji Subhas Chandra Bose was forming the Indian National Army, proving that Indians could not only fight but lead armies with unprecedented valor. Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, and Ashfaqullah Khan were showing that the youth of India would rather die than live in slavery. Rani Lakshmibai had already demonstrated centuries earlier that Indian women were forces of nature when it came to protecting their motherland. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was uniting the princely states, Pandit Nehru was articulating the vision of modern India, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was ensuring that our constitution would be the most progressive document the world had ever seen. The struggle wasn't just political, it was cultural, intellectual, and spiritual. Rabindranath Tagore was winning Nobel Prizes and showing the world the depth of Indian literature and philosophy. Swami Vivekananda had already electrified the World Parliament of Religions in Chicago, declaring that India was not just seeking independence but was ready to give spiritual leadership to the world. Every act of resistance, every moment of defiance, every sacrifice was building toward that magical moment on August 15, 1947. And then came freedom. But here's what makes India's story truly remarkable. Most nations celebrate their independence and then struggle to live up to the promise. India did the opposite. We made promises that seemed impossible, and then systematically achieved every single one of them, often exceeding our own wildest dreams. In 1947, experts predicted India wouldn't survive as a unified nation for more than a decade. They said our diversity was our weakness, that a country with hundreds of languages, multiple religions, and vast regional differences could never stay together. Today, 79 years later, India stands as the world's largest democracy, and our diversity has become our greatest strength. We didn't just survive, we thrived precisely because of our differences, not despite them. The early decades after independence were about building the foundation. Pandit Nehru established the IITs, AIIMS, and ISRO, laying the groundwork for India's technological revolution. The Green Revolution of the 1960s transformed us from a food importing nation to one of the world's largest food producers. Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam led our nuclear program, and on May 18, 1974, with Operation Smiling Buddha, India became a nuclear power, sending a clear message to the world that we were no longer going to be anyone's pushover. But the real transformation began in the 1990s with economic liberalization. Dr. Manmohan Singh, as finance minister, opened up the Indian economy, and suddenly the world discovered what Indians had always known, that we weren't just laborers or farmers, but some of the brightest minds on the planet. Indian IT companies like Infosys, TCS, and Wipro began serving global clients. Indian doctors started healing patients in the best hospitals worldwide. Indian engineers began leading technology companies from Silicon Valley to Singapore. And then came the new millennium, and India truly began to roar. We launched missions to the moon and Mars, not because we had unlimited resources, but because we had unlimited dreams. When Chandrayaan-1 discovered water on the moon in 2008, the world realized that India wasn't just participating in the space race, we were refining it with frugal innovation. Our Mars orbiter mission, accomplished at just 450 crore, less than the budget of a Hollywood movie, showed that Indian jugaad wasn't just about making do with less, it was about achieving more with less. Today, under the visionary leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has transformed into a nation that the entire world studies and emulates. His recent Independence Day speech from the Red Fort wasn't just a national address, it was a global policy statement. When he spoke about making India a developed nation by 2047, about Atmanirbhar Bharat, about Digital India, about Startup India, about Skill India, he was outlining not just India's future, but showing the world a new model of development that's sustainable, inclusive, and innovative. Prime Minister Modi's recent speech highlighted something extraordinary. India's approach to development isn't just about economic growth, it's about human development, environmental sustainability, and global responsibility. When he mentioned our achievements in renewable energy, he was speaking about how India is leading the International Solar Alliance, bringing together nations to fight climate change. When he talked about Digital India, he was referring to how we've become the world's largest digital democracy, with more internet users than entire continents have populations. Let's talk about where India stands in the world today, because the numbers are absolutely staggering. We are now the world's 5th largest economy, and experts predict will be the 3rd largest by 2027. But size isn't everything, it's about influence, and India's influence today is unmatched. We are the largest democracy in the world, with 1.4 billion people participating in free and fair elections. We are the fastest growing major economy, with a growth rate that makes developed nations envious. We are the world's largest producer of vaccines, the pharmacy of the world, healing not just our own people but millions across the globe. India's superpowers are not just economic, they're civilizational. Our first superpower is our demographic dividend. We have the youngest population in the world, with an average age of 28. While other nations worry about aging populations, we have a workforce that's energetic, educated, and eager to contribute. Our second superpower is our diversity. We don't just tolerate differences, we celebrate them. In how many countries can you find as many languages, religions, cultures, and traditions coexisting and contributing to national strength? Our third superpower is our ancient wisdom combined with modern innovation. We're the land that gave yoga to the world, and we're also the land that's sending missions to Mars. Our fourth superpower is our democracy itself. In an age when democracy is under threat worldwide, India stands as a beacon of hope. Every 5 years, nearly 1 billion people participate in elections that are free, fair, and peaceful. The 2024 Lok Sabha election saw 642 million voters, that's larger than the entire population of Europe. And they all voted peacefully, proving that democracy isn't just surviving in India, it's thriving. But let's talk about the operations and initiatives that have made India a global leader. Operation Ganga, during the Ukraine crisis, showed the world how India takes care of its own. When war broke out and other nations struggled to evacuate their citizens, India launched one of the largest evacuation operations in history, bringing back not just Indians, but also foreign nationals, demonstrating that India's humanity knows no borders. Operation Kaveri in Sudan, Operation Devi Shakti in Afghanistan, Operation Rahat in Yemen, these weren't just rescue operations, they were declarations of India's commitment to global responsibility. When the world was in chaos, India was the steady hand that reached out to help, regardless of nationality, religion, or politics. The recent G20 presidency under India's leadership was nothing short of revolutionary. When Prime Minister Modi declared One Earth, One Family, One Future as the G20 theme, he wasn't just making a diplomatic statement, he was articulating an ancient Indian philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam for the modern world. Under India's leadership, the African Union was made a permanent member of G20, showing that India's rise doesn't mean others fall, we rise together. India's space program continues to achieve the impossible. Chandrayaan-3's successful landing on the moon's south pole made India the 4th nation to land on the moon, and the first to land on the lunar south pole. But more importantly, it made every Indian child believe that nothing is impossible if you have the courage to dream, and the determination to work. When ISRO scientists celebrated that historic moment, they weren't just celebrating a technological achievement, they were celebrating the triumph of Indian innovation, Indian cost-effectiveness, and Indian excellence. Our digital revolution has been equally spectacular. The Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, and mobile JAM Trinity has revolutionized financial inclusion. UPI has become a global model for digital payments, processing billions of transactions every month. When other countries study digital governance, they don't look to Silicon Valley, they look to India. Our CoWIN platform, which managed the world's largest vaccination drive during COVID-19, has been adopted by multiple countries because Indian solutions work. The Ayushman Bharat program has provided healthcare coverage to over 500 million Indians, making it the world's largest healthcare program. The PM Kisan scheme has directly transferred money to farmers' accounts, eliminating middlemen and corruption. The Swab Bharat mission has built over 100 million toilets, making India open defecation free. These aren't just government programs, they're social revolutions that have transformed lives and continue to inspire policymakers worldwide. Recent military operations have established India as a regional superpower with global reach. The surgical strikes across the line of control sent a clear message that the new India doesn't just defend, it acts decisively when threatened. The Balakot airstrikes demonstrated that Indian military capability can reach deep into enemy territory with precision and effectiveness. The Golwan Valley standoff showed that Indian soldiers will not retreat even an inch from our sovereign territory. But India's real strength lies not in military might, but in our soft power. Yoga International Day is celebrated worldwide because India gifted this ancient practice to humanity. Indian movies, music, and culture are appreciated from Tokyo to Toronto. Indian cuisine has conquered taste buds globally. Indian festivals like Diwali are celebrated in official buildings, from the White House to 10 Downing Street. Our economic achievements are reshaping global supply chains. The Production-Linked Incentive (PLI) scheme has attracted investments worth lakhs of crores, making India a manufacturing hub. The Make in India initiative has transformed us from being just a market to being a manufacturing powerhouse. Companies that once looked at India only as consumers now see us as producers, innovators, and partners. The startup ecosystem in India is the third largest in the world, with over 100 unicorns. Indian entrepreneurs are not just building companies, they're building solutions for global problems. From fintech to healthcare, from agriculture to space technology, Indian startups are proving that innovation has no boundaries when it comes from Indian minds. Climate action is another area where India is leading from the front. Our commitment to net zero emissions by 2070, our massive renewable energy targets, our international solar alliance, all demonstrate that India's development model prioritizes the planet alongside progress. When the world needed leadership on climate change, India stepped up with concrete actions, not just promises. The recent infrastructure development has been breathtaking. The Delhi-Mumbai Expressway, the Atal Tunnel, the Bogabeel Bridge, these aren't just engineering marvels, they're symbols of India's determination to connect every corner of the country with world-class infrastructure. The Vande Bharat trains represent not just speed, but the marriage of Indian manufacturing with Indian innovation. Our education sector is producing global leaders. Indian CEOs head the world's largest technology companies, Google, Microsoft, Adobe, Twitter, and countless others. This isn't coincidence, it's the result of an education system that emphasizes excellence, innovation, and ethical leadership. The new Education Policy 2020 is preparing the next generation to lead not just India, but the world. Women's empowerment in India has reached unprecedented levels. From Chandrayaan-3's mission being led by women scientists to women fighter pilots defending our skies, from women entrepreneurs building unicorn startups to women administrators leading districts and states, Indian women are proving that when you empower half your population, the whole nation soars. As we celebrate 79 years of independence today, we're not just celebrating the past, we're celebrating the future. The India of 2025 is not the same country that gained independence in 1947, and the India of 2047 will be unrecognizable from today. We're not just growing, we're transforming. We're not just developing, we're redefining what development means. When Prime Minister Modi speaks about India becoming a developed nation by 2047, he's not making a political promise, he's stating an inevitable reality. Every indicator, every trend, every achievement points to the same conclusion: India's time has arrived, and the world knows it. Today, when young Indians wake up, they don't dream of going abroad to find opportunities, they dream of creating opportunities right here in India. When global leaders face difficult decisions, they don't just consult traditional powers, they call New Delhi. When international organizations need credible, capable leadership, they look to India. This Independence Day, as the tricolour unfurls across the length and breadth of our incredible nation, it carries with it not just the dreams of 1.4 billion Indians, but the hopes of the entire developing world. We've proven that democracy and development can coexist, that diversity and unity can strengthen each other, that ancient wisdom and modern innovation can create magic. 79 years ago, we promised ourselves freedom. Today, we're not just free, we're leaders. We're not just independent, we're influential. We're not just a nation, we're an inspiration. So let us celebrate not just what India was, not just what India is, but what India is becoming: a superpower with a soul, a global leader with Indian values, a developed nation that never forgot its roots.